thing you've got to do it with are other tools of sarsen. There's no metal at this stage, and indeed the first metals that appeared, you know, we're talking about copper, gold and later bronze. Not very good for working stone this hard. So the only thing you can work it with are hammers of the same sort of stone, which they wear down at the same rate as the stone wears down. And effectively, although you can knock chunks off to start with, by the time it comes to constructing the joints, you're effectively removing sand. You're pounding and removing it in little tiny flecks. So it's one of the things that's almost impossible to calculate how long it took to do, because we don't know what the original size and shape of these stones were. What we suspect is that where they came from, that they would have done some initial shaping there, because you don't drag extra weight that distance, and it also reveals if there are flaws in the stone. But the one stone where we have got an idea, if you come back round here, where we've got some idea of how much was removed is this one. Because if you follow this flat back down, and I mean this as you can see is a far more massive stone than that one. That is a beautiful stone. It's tall, it's elegant, and it's very deeply buried in the ground. And I think that you can tell how deeply buried it originally was, because it was straightened in 1901 because it was leaning and people thought that it was either going to fall over and break. And you see that stone is out of the vertical. That's because that was leaning on it. So you can see the angle that it was over at, and it didn't come out the ground. So I think what happened here was that they found this stone, and they thought, right, fantastic, we can get it right up here. This one wasn't quite long enough. It's more massive. It's huge. It's twice as thick as this one. And you can see how much was removed, because here's the flat back. And then look, it kicks out there. Basically, you don't remove that. It's below ground, so nobody sees it. And also, these people were clever engineers. The more weight you've got at the base, the more stable it is. So you leave that chunk on there. But just look how much stone has been removed to create that flat back. Unfortunately, it didn't work, because I think this one was fairly shallowly set. We don't know. We've never seen the hole that it was set in, because this part of Stonehenge has never been moved. Other parts of it have. That whole trilithon, for example, fell over in 1797. It was put up in the 1950s as in a bit of restoration that wouldn't happen today. But it's quite nice to think that it has been. But the majority of the rest of them have just been straightened up and set in concrete. So that's a clue there about how much stone's been removed. And if you remember, I want to give you your time to wander around, what I was saying to start with about not being 100% certain that that outer circle was ever complete. Now, the problem, the fly in the ointment, is that stone there. That little one. Now, these stones have all got numbers. That one's stone 11, and it's the problem one. Because if you look next to it, is a decent size, a decent height stone of the outer circle. Here's a fallen one, right sort of distance. That one, even on the earliest engravings that we have of the site that you can rely on, is shown as being that size and that shape. So it's not as if somebody's bashed chunks off it. And of course it doesn't work, because you can't have a lintel suspended on that one. And the bizarre thing is that both that one and that one have both got their two tenons on top, suggesting that they were meant to have something across there. But that is a bit of a problem. The only way of getting around it is to suggest that somehow they found a very, very long stone and bridged that double gap, because